What's going on, everybody? Real quick, the topic of discussion today is going to be why I left the police department and how I went on to start my business. Y'all stay tuned.
That's my best friend. That's my best friend.
Hey now, it's Anthony with A&A Professional Services. Thanks for stopping by. If you want to see more videos, please subscribe to the channel. Also tap the bell to get notified about all new videos and live chats. Also follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And don't forget to check out the stories. This way you can keep up with us on the daily. Thanks for the support.
All right, what's going on, everybody, man? Real quick, let me just check out everybody in the chat. We got Z Customs. What's going on? Sir Grigi. I hope I said that right. I'm sorry. Kings Deluxe Mobile Car Wash. What's going on? Clean Right, Cut Right. Big Dog. Calisalo Detailing. What's going on, man? Notarize. What's up? JNS Mobile Car Wash. I see you. Javon Patrick, what's going on? Next Level Mobile Detailing, okay. Eric Jones, what's going on, big dog? I just watched your video this morning, man. What's up? Kevin Ross, what's going on, everybody? All right, real quick, I just want to briefly go over why I left the police department. It was something that I never really talked about. I gave y'all a few clues here and there, but it all started back in August 2010. The date was August 6th. It was on a Friday. And, I'll never forget this day. We started off the day kind of laid back. One of those days when you just kind of, the vibe of everybody was just calm and laid back. So you could kind of tell that we wasn't going to be as proactive that day as far as like patrolling the streets and everything. We were just going to kind of be laid back. And the unit that I was in, we didn't answer calls for service. So when you dial 911 and to make a complaint or to say that your house or car or something got broken into, it wasn't going to be my unit that was going to show up. We was a proactive unit. All we did was go out and target high crime areas and try to reduce the numbers in those areas. And every month we had a different area that we had to focus on, just to let y'all know what type of unit I was in at the time. So we was just pretty much laid back that day. And also that same day was our commander's birthday. So we all went out to Walgreens to go get this guy a card, throw a little money in to take him out to eat happy birthday. So I think that's why the day was kind of laid back. So while we was just moving around doing our thing, over the radio, we kept hearing them trying to contact an officer, and he got a negative contact. I don't know if any of you guys ever been in law enforcement, but a negative contact with the officers just pretty much means that he's not answering his radio. We get that all the time. It could be many reasons on why he's not answering his radio. Maybe the worst case scenario, he fell asleep. That would be the worst case scenario on how commonly that happens. He'd fall asleep. But most of the time it's a possibility that he might have accidentally cut it off, or he's in a basement of some building somewhere and not getting any reception. He bumped it to a different channel. And so on and so on, your common reasons. So we paid no mind to it because we hear that all the time. Some time had went by. I want to say probably 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes went by. And by this time, if you're not answering your radio, some officer, some sergeant, somebody has your cell phone number. They're gonna call you and say, "Hey man, they call you on the radio." And I guess after they exhausted all that, they start to get worried. Okay, so a backstory on that officer. What ended up happening was he arrested this guy, and he took him to the city jail. Our city jail is just a holding facility. It's not a real jail. It's just where they hold them, where they take them to the county. And what ended up happening is when he took him to this holding facility, he was so unruly and being so combative. They told him that he just need to transport him himself to Raymond, which is in Raymond, Mississippi, the Hinds County Jail. And he told him to just to transport him there because he was just being so so combative. So the officer takes him down there, and when he gets close to the drug, I think he was like maybe at the intersection or the intersection before you get to the jail. And while they was en route, the suspect started to complain about he couldn't breathe and this and everything. So they let the window down for him so he could breathe. Now I don't know how this guy did it, but when we checked out everything, he did it. He was handcuffed from the back. He reversed the handcuffs. I don't know how he did it, but he was able to take the handcuffs under his feet and now still cuffed, but have it in the front now. He reached out the window and unlocked the door. Now, I don't know, because all of those patrol cars were old and were outdated, and they didn't even have, some of them didn't have the little guard on the window so you couldn't get out. But the guy opened the door and took off running. The officer chased him to a nearby creek. That's when they confronted each other. They struggled, and the officer ended up being killed with his own weapon. Now, I take it that he's probably was running with the gun in his hand, because I don't see him getting his handgun with his handcuffs on. But remember now, this is the same guy that put the handcuffs from the back to the front, so it's possible. Unlikely, but it's not impossible. So now let's go back to us. So all of this has already happened. We don't know that this happened. All we think that it is it's an officer not answering his radio. So after a period of time had went by, when we just realized like something ain't right, a few of the guys that I was with was like, we're gonna go out there and check it out. I chose to stay behind. They go out there and check it out, and it was a whole scene out there. And they got yelled at by the deputy chief to go back. Now, during that time when those officers got yelled at, they was just trying to help. We didn't understand while they was being yelled at. We didn't understand, and we didn't want to hear it, because all it was is that it's obviously this officer is in trouble. He's in trouble, and we just trying to help. He's one of ours. We just trying to help, but we wasn't realizing, because that that little metro area, Jackson. It's Jackson, Byram, Clinton, Madison, Pearl, Florence. It's the metro area. Those cities are so close together. So sometimes, in the heat of the moment, you can go into another city and not realize you're out of your jurisdiction. We was out of our jurisdiction. We still in the county, but we was outside the city limits. So that's why he was telling us to go back. But I don't think he realized that. That's why I told you before, we didn't answer calls. So it wasn't going to pull any manpower from the city for us to be out there. We was the only ones that was going to be free to help if they needed assistance from our department. But I don't think he realized that in the moment, because he was just, he's the deputy chief. He's lost an officer. And I think that's where the mix-up came up at. So anyway, the officers were upset. They came back. And I remember them coming back telling us about it. And we was talking, and we got all vamped up and everything. So we had a unit of like maybe 15, maybe 20 people. And so we started talking, and we was like, man, you know what? I don't care what the deputy chief said. We're going out there. So we went out there. All 20 of us shot out there. So the commander got wind of it, and before we can make it out there, he gets on the radio and tell us anybody that's en route out there need to turn around now. And he also said who's ever out there needs to come back. And so, you know, we had a lot of respect for this commander. We never questioned anything that he did. We turned around. Went back. So before we can, I mean, we might have turned around and might have been heading in the opposite, you know, back towards Jackson for like maybe 4 or 5 minutes, maybe less. And then we get a call to go out there. So now I think at that point they realized that something wasn't right, because I think what happened is they found the suspect but haven't found the officer. The suspect still has handcuffs on. So they're like, something ain't right. So they called us back out there. So by this time, it's starting to get dusk. It's starting to get dark. And we started searching. Now I'm gonna tell you, man, this is so crazy. It was kind of like in the movies. At this time, I had been a police officer maybe 9 years, 8-9 years at that point. I never seen, like in the movies, you know how they come in the movies, like I'm a police officer, I need your vehicle, and take someone's vehicle. Like I actually saw deputies do that. I was like, wow, I didn't know that was real. And I was an officer. And so I seen them take a car. I seen them, we had helicopters hovering over the woods because it was a wooded area, and they thought that that's where they was at, and they were searching out there the whole time. And he wasn't even out there, but the helicopter was above the woods, and he actually found the helicopter was the one who was able to locate the suspect. And so, but the helicopter couldn't find the officer, so they knew something was wrong. And so, man, I also saw a guy pull up. He had a pickup truck with a trailer with some ATVs on the back. They took those ATVs and went off in those woods. I was like, wow, like it's crazy, man. Like that's when I knew that it was serious. I'd never been in a situation like that before. Like when you can't find an officer. And so now we started doing some research. We started asking questions, walking around, looking at people, talking to people, and we ended up going to a restaurant. Just not a restaurant, but a burger joint. And so we go to the burger joint, and we talked to some of the people there. One of the ladies told us, "Yeah, I saw him chasing them, and they went towards that creek, and I didn't see him anymore." So then I went there and told them that information. A group of us went to the creek, focused our search in the creek area. So we searching, and the creek, it rained, days prior, it rained a lot, so the creek was full of water. So we looking through the creek, we're in there getting soaking wet in the water, like the water was probably waist high, and we was searching for him and everything. So when it got dark, it was pitch black dark, we found him. He was submerged underwater. He had a gunshot wound either here or here. I can't remember which side, but it was on the side of his nose to the face. And that really messed me up because I've seen a lot of dead bodies, but it was just the fact that he was in a uniform like I got on. And when I'm looking at him, all I can see is my face on his uniform, like my face on his body. And so it was kind of like I put myself there, like that can happen. That could have been me. That could have happened to me. And it just really changed my perception. It changed my outlook on everything at that moment. And so, it was just a crazy feeling. Like I didn't cry. I just don't know. I was just empty. I didn't have anything in me. So they had a helicopter to come down. They put him in it. First time I ever seen that. They blocked off the highway, had a helicopter to come down. They airlifted him to the hospital. And we all knew he was dead because we just thinking he was in that water. The whole time arguing and going back and forth with the deputy chief, telling us to leave, telling us to come back. He was sitting underwater the whole time. So if he survived a gunshot wound by any chance, he would have drowned anyway. So he really had no chance. But you can't tell us that back then when all we was trying to do is help and you prevented us. We're going to say, well, shoulda, woulda, coulda, But we all, that was over, that was like, what, 8 years ago. And so we all grew up from that, and we kind of understand how it happened. We understand now, but just in the moment, you're not trying to get no understanding. You're just trying to make something happen. So I just remember we all went back to the precinct, and people was crying. He had another officer that was either behind him or in front of him that was there when it happened and drove around and lost him. Like, while the officer was chasing him on foot, he drove around, and I guess once he crossed the building and lost the visual, he never gained visual again. And so he was there, and I was asking him questions, and he was sick. He was real sick looking. I felt bad for him because I knew that people was gonna start blaming him for that happening or whatever. So I just remember, I remember going home, taking a shower, going to bed, and then we had not long after that, he had a funeral procession. We actually had to take him. He had a funeral in Jackson, but he was from somewhere down south, like maybe 100 miles away. And we went down there. We actually transported his body down there. A police escort all the way there, like 100 miles, all the way there, and dropped him off at and they was gonna have their own personal funeral for the family there. And so, man, that was the first time I ever went through that. And so I was just, I don't know how to explain it, man. I didn't have nothing in me, man. I didn't want to come to work. I didn't like the way it was handled, and I just put myself in that position. I was just like, the way they handled that whole situation was just horrible. And I was just hoping that I wouldn't want that to happen to me. And if I was in a situation like that, I wanted to be handled better. So it just put a bad taste in my mouth. So after that, I was just showing up to work, man. I wasn't really, I went from having good numbers every week to just barely getting by. I was just showing up to work, waiting for the clock to run out. And I was just really tired of it. I was getting really tired of it. So then after a while, I want to say maybe a month after that, maybe a little longer, they had openings in narcotics. And I always wanted to be in narcotics. So I was like, you know what, maybe I should go over there because, that's probably going to be the only thing that get me out of this rut that I'm in. So then I applied for narcotics. I interviewed for it, and I got it. I made narcotics. So now I'm a narcotics detective. It gave me, it just breathed like fresh air into me. It was like I was alive again, because now I'm doing something different. I'm around different people. I'm in the same department, but just in another division. And so it was another high-profile unit like the one I was in. It was an aggressive unit. It was no calls. You built your cases, and that's one thing about me. I don't like to sit still. I like to work, So those particular jobs, you get overtime because you have to work cases. And I loved it. Now I get a chance to make more money on top of the part-times that I had. And so I'll tie that in later on. You'll see why, I left. So now I'm in narcotics. But just remember this now. In the back of my mind, I still see them pulling that officer out the water. I still see my face on that officer when they pull him out the water. Like, that can happen to me. Not so much as they may not handle it right, but so much as that can happen. The officer, tried to give gave the suspect some leeway by letting the window down so he can breathe or so that he can get some air. And he took advantage of that, and the officer's not here with us no more. So I told myself, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing nothing. Like, I'm doing everything by the book. If I tell you to put your hands on the car, you don't put your hands on the car, it's gonna be a problem. Now, did I start becoming overly aggressive? Yes, I did. Because I didn't want that to happen to me. Was I scared? No, I wasn't scared. I was just being cautious and just knowing what could happen by not nipping it in the bud early. I've seen many a times, and even it's happened to me. I've been in situations where I told guys to put your hands behind your back, and then they don't put their hands behind their back, and I'm steady saying, put your hands behind your back, and now I'm grabbing him. Now we're in the fight. But if I'd have said, put your hands behind your back, and he didn't do it, and I grabbed him and got hold to him immediately and showed force immediately, then he'll be like, okay, I'm not gonna play around with this guy. But I will always see how, if you're dealing with somebody, especially somebody that has warrants, and I'm not talking about traffic tickets, I'm talking about serious warrants, they don't want to go to jail. What they do, but the first thing they do is, what I do? I ain't do nothing, and start snatching back. And if you don't shut that down, you're gonna get into a fight. And so to eliminate all that, I wasn't playing. If you look like you was gonna fight, I'm sorry, you was getting hit. If you did anything other than what I told you to do, if I told you to put your hands behind your back and you flinched or you jerked back at me and you bowled up at me, I'm taking you down. I wasn't gonna let that happen to me. I had a situation. I didn't see it myself, but I saw, and no, I didn't see it myself. I'm sorry. I keep saying I saw, but a good friend of mine, real cool with him. We was in the same precinct. This guy, just a regular day. He responds to a call. He's dealing with some crazy guy. The guy started coming at him, and the officer is backing up, and the guy reaches for his gun and actually gets his gun out the holster. And the officer, took off running, and then the guy shot himself. You see what I'm saying? So, like, the guy was trying to get the officer to kill him, suicide by cop. He was trying to get the officer to kill him, but the officer wouldn't do it, so he killed himself. But just imagine if the guy would have just been like, well, I'm going to kill you, then I'm going to kill myself, because I don't like cops no way. You see what I'm saying? So I was at that point that I wasn't playing around at all. Now, I just want to put y'all in the mindset that I was in. So now, I'm in narcotics, and now it's even more dangerous than just regular patrol and the other unit that I was in. I did a lot of search warrants, and that's what I loved about narcotics, is that you can build cases. You can build cases. You don't have to wait for a call. You can build your own case and be proactive, and you actually can see the difference that's happening out there when you're making these arrests. So I just remember, like, when we would kick in doors and go in, and I would go in and we'll yell out, police, search warrant, get on the ground. If they didn't get on the ground, man, I'm talking about people was getting tackled, getting thrown down to the ground. If you didn't get down quick enough, I'm sorry, we putting you down. And we all had that mentality. We just putting you down. We had our guns out. We wasn't playing around. No joke. So when you're in a unit like that, you get a lot of complaints. And you're going to expect complaints. They're going to expect complaints. And usually the complaints will be the same thing. And if you did everything according to the book and you wasn't malicious in anything that you did, and that it would just usually go away. Before I got the narcotics, we would hear rumors about, you always hear rumors, dirty cops, and this cop is taking money, and this cop is stealing money and doing this and doing that. You would hear that, but you'll never see it, unless you was involved with it. So that rumor was going around. Even before I got there, the rumor was going out is that the FBI was investigating, and they had informants and all this type of stuff. So I remember, I just remember that it was a group of people in the unit that did their own thing, and those were the ones they were talking about. But they lumped it all on us because we're still a part of the same division. So then, the complaints will be rolling in. You'll be going. Sometimes you'll be going to something you wasn't even there. They just call everybody in because you in that unit. You wasn't even at work that day, and they know you're not at work that day. And so that was unusual because if they see that you wasn't at work, the first thing they do is they check the dispatcher's record and they look at it and they see if you was at work that day. That's the first thing they do. The fact that they're calling you in and you wasn't at work that day, I didn't think about it like that then, but now what they was trying to do was they was trying to get one of us that knew something to tell on somebody. So, just going in there all the time, and then I started noticing, I was asked about somebody one time, and I knew nothing about him because I didn't even, I knew who he was, but I'd never worked with him. Only time I saw him is probably early in the morning or later on in the day when we was getting our paperwork and get ready to go home. That's the only time I saw him, or maybe in court. But I didn't see him out in the field because I didn't work with him. And they was asking me about him. I had no information on him, so that I remember that interview was kind of weird. It's kind of weird. It felt more like an interrogation. And I was like, they was calling me in, I could see they was calling me in on something that I was being accused of, but they was calling me in on something else. And the way they was interrogating me, it was real crazy. So, but I brushed it off, because I thought maybe he got something going on. They're just trying to figure it out. I brushed it off. Just kept doing my job, kept pushing. And so then I would get complaints of excessive force. Now, remember, I told you, I wasn't playing around. If you didn't get down quick enough, however I got you down, I got you down. I wasn't playing no games. So when I started going in for my questioning or my interview in internal affairs, they became more aggressive with me. Like they started polygraph testing me when they never did that. And I'm talking about the stuff that they polygraphed me on is not something that you should be polygraphed about. And so I'm just like, okay, this is weird, but I still didn't think nothing about it. I thought that this is how they handle narcotics because it's a high profile unit, very aggressive unit. So I just thought that's just how they handle it. Didn't realize that it was something else brewing. So then, time went on, and I remember a rumor about a guy being arrested. He was arrested by the feds or something like that. And so I got a phone call that he had been arrested. I called him. He didn't answer his phone. A few days later, he came back, and I asked him when he came back. He was like, "No," he was like, "Where you hear that from?" And like, "No," But later on to find out that it was true, and he was trying to, set people up, But he was the one that was doing all the stuff. But he ended up going to prison. That's a whole nother story. But he ended up going to prison, and he's out now, and he's moved somewhere else. But like I said, that unit was very crazy. And then it started getting more dangerous. Like we had a few shootouts. And I'm telling you, I was only in narcotics like maybe 2 years. In the last few months, I was in more shootouts in like 3 months than I was in my entire career. And I'm not gonna go into detail about all of them, but I'm gonna talk about one because this one was specifically me. I don't like talking about stuff other people's involved in. So, and I think I said this before on here. We at this point I started getting confidential informants. And, I'll be out there working and I'll arrest people and they don't want to go to jail. So they're agreed to do certain things to work their case off or get less time or get no time and to get, bigger fish. So I ended up getting this one this one informant, and this particular informant was weird, but this informant knew they knew their stuff. When I tell you, and all the information that they would give you would be so accurate. Weird. Didn't like dealing with it, but every time this particular informant told this CI told me something, it was true. So at one point, how we would do it is we would say, you got to give me 3 cases to your 1 case. So however many charges you have, you got to give me 3 charges apiece. So if you got 2 charges, you got to give me 6 charges on some other people, either 6 people or 3 charges on 1 person. You're gonna have to figure it out. So she had 1 more to go. And I remember her when she first started telling me about this. She was like, it's this certain guy that just keep calling me to buy drugs from him. Keep calling me, and I'm like, all right, well, do what you got to do. She was like, I don't really like dealing with him. So I'm like, okay, cool. If my informants didn't feel comfortable working somebody, I didn't push them to work the person, And so I said, you should find somebody else. And so, but I guess she got desperate because she had 1 more to go and she really wanted to clear her name. So she went on and said she wanted to go ahead and get him. And I'm like, all right. So we set everything up. We actually was gonna set up a buy. We gave her, some money, some buy money. And she was gonna buy a certain amount, and they set it up to meet at a Church's Chicken. And that's when I showed y'all that shooting that happened at Church's Chicken, that's when that happened. So long story short, we had her in there. The guy come, he's trying to get her to leave with him. We wasn't finna let that happen because he recognized my supervisor was sitting in there, and me not thinking, my supervisor used to work that area years ago, and I think the guy recognized him and was like, look, let's get in the car and drive and do the buy instead of doing it right here because I think that's a cop. I think that's what he was on. And so the supervisor's telling me that I think he recognized me. Y'all need to come on because, he said you could get him for possession, but you're not going to get a buy charge. So I'm like, all right, I'll take that. So we swooped over. The guy immediately saw us, knew what time it was, put the car in reverse, tried to back out. He was blocked from the back. Then he was blocked from the front. And so we getting out the car thinking that, he's blocked in. We got a gun strong. He pushing and driving, comes right at me. And, bop, bop. I gave off about 2 or 3 shots. Dove out the way. He hit the car that I was riding in, bagged out, and took off. He took off. He hit an ambulance. And then he drove down the street. And then the car I was riding with left me and took off after him. But I had to stay anyway because I just fired my weapon. So eventually they caught him maybe a few blocks away, and they caught him with the dope and everything. And they had to deal with all that situation right there. And so I had that going on. So every shooting that you're involved with, you're gonna have to take a breathalyzer test, a urine test. It's a lot of things you got to go through. Then you're going to be investigated for the shooting. So I had that going on. All right, and then I just had so much stuff going on, and it was like I started feeling to the point where this was going to happen because they was calling us internal affairs so much that I felt like they was trying to set somebody up or trying to put somebody away. So I was like, either I'm gonna go to prison, because I remember a guy that used to ride with us used to always say, man, we one mistake away from being indicted. So I'm thinking to myself, so they waiting for us to make a mistake. I'm like, wow. And so one thing was gonna happen is I was gonna either go to prison, and this, I'd done anything illegal, but this is just how I feel. I'm going to prison, I'll get killed, I'll kill someone, or I get fired. Now the fourth one being fired, I didn't care about that. It's the first three. I didn't want none of those to happen. So I was like, man, I remember having a conversation with the chief, and she's just talking back and forth. The conversation got heated, and I just said, you know what? It just hit me. I just told her, like, I shouldn't be here no more. Like, I'm done. I was done because, like, it wasn't even about stopping crime or bettering the community and none of that. It wasn't even about that no more. I had a group of people that I had a bond with that I just came to work to protect them, and then it wasn't even about that no more. So I was like that. I ain't good. I'm no good to nobody. You know what I'm saying? Because I got to the point where it was just like every man for themselves, and I was just like, something bad gonna happen. And so I just decided to bow out. I said, it's time for me to go. So I didn't resign immediately, but I eventually, not long after that conversation, I resigned. I remember what I wanted to do, man, is I was like, man, I got some money saved up because, like I said, I was working a lot of part-time jobs, like moonlighting jobs when you do security as a police officer. And so I was like, man, that's one thing I loved about being a police officer, is that you can work all these moonlighting jobs, but it just depends on what chief you had. Because every time you got a new mayor, because we had got to the point where we wasn't having long-term mayors. We was having like 4-year, one-term mayors, and it was just flip-flopping around. We had one that was in office, and he died. It just got crazy. It was just flipping around. And so every time the mayor would change, the administration would change. And then when the new person come in, they would say, oh, we shutting down overtime, and the only way you can work part-time is if it fit this criteria. And they had it to where you could only work a few places. And so officers already had it. You couldn't get in. So a lot of officers starting up lawn care and start doing, I think one was doing mobile detailing, if I'm not mistaken. But, some was handymans, painters, mechanics. They started doing other things outside of law enforcement. They part-time was other stuff. And so, that was another reason, because like they would always change things around. They would cut off overtime. The only time you got overtime is if you was on call. When you're on call, that means that if something happens that's related to your division, like if you in narcotics, if an officer pulls somebody over and gets a large amount of any type of drugs or anything, then a detective have to come out. So whatever detective on call, you could be at home chilling with your family and get a call and you got to go. And so that was the only time you was getting overtime. And so luckily I had a job at Walgreens when I was doing security, but it was limited because my hours at narcotics was crazy. So like the house that I live in, I've been living here probably 9 years. Yeah, I've been living here 9 years. And this year, November, make 10 years. So during that time, I was only a police officer 2 years in this house. So when I was on the police department, I had to work part-time to be able to afford to pay the mortgage and the upkeep and all the stuff that comes along with owning the house. I had to have make overtime because my regular salary wasn't going to cut it. So when I left, I was like, my first idea was actually getting into, hold on guys, let me plug up my phone. So my first idea was a online store. I had no clue how website works, how to do it. I think I was leaning more towards like eBay or something. But I didn't think that all the way through, and it didn't work. It didn't work. It never got off the ground. I did my research, and it was just like, wow, this is how I'm gonna do it. And then I was talking to a lady about it, and she was like, the thing is that the easy part is you can get all the stuff and set everything up, but how you gonna get people to get over there and buy it? And so I was just like, wow, yeah, you're right. So I X'd that idea out, and I just remember revisiting the idea because while I was on the police department, at some point I wanted to do lawn care, and at some point I wanted to do detailing. Not at the same time like I'm doing it now, but at some point I wanted to do one of those things while I was on the police department. But I was working so much overtime, and I was working part-time. The money was good, so I wasn't hungry to do anything else. I was complacent with what I was doing. And so I revisited that idea. I looked at detailing first, and when I looked at the detailing, I was like, well, damn, where I'm gonna get a water tank from? I didn't know nothing. Where I'm gonna get a water tank from? I never used a generator or a pressure washer at that point. Didn't know anything about them. I knew where I can buy them from. I knew I could buy the generator and the pressure washer from. Didn't know how much it was going to cost. Didn't know how many watts I needed. Didn't know how many PSIs I needed. Didn't know anything. I'm doing my research. And when if y'all guys get on YouTube and do your research, you see equipment, but they don't explain it in detail for somebody who don't have a clue to understand. So I did all the research I could, and I was just like, you know what? I'll come back to that later. I didn't rule it out like I did the online store. So then I looked at I revisited lawn care, and then I thought about it. I said, man, why am I sitting up here, going around the world about this stuff? I got 2 lawnmowers at the house. I had 2 push lawnmowers that were Craftsman's. I had 2 weed eaters, they were Craftsman's, and I had a blower. I had hedge trimmers, and I was like, man. I was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. And so I made up me some flyers on Vistaprint, and they look like this. These were my first flyers. These were the first ones, and these flyers right here. This is basically the I don't know if y'all can see that real good. Y'all probably can see that better when I turn off my light. But this is what they look like. Now, if you guys ever went on Vistaprint, these are the stock. This is what they already have on there. And then I remember being out and about, and you know how you go to those places where you can put your business cards on a board or on a wall. I would see a gang of these cards, and I was just like, you know what? I'm looking like somebody else. And then I remember seeing a truck driving by with this on the side of their vehicle, and I was just like, I was like, man. Okay, I need to do something else. But I hadn't figured it out yet. So then 6 months later, I revisited the idea of the car wash and started doing my research and started learning how it works. And I could gravity feed. I didn't need a pump. What type of generator I would need and everything. And I bought up everything. And then, so during this time, I made the flyers for what I was just doing at that moment. So then I came out with some more flyers. And this was my flyer for detailing. Look at that price right there. Look at them prices. So, and this was just car wash. If you notice, it says it don't have detail nowhere on there. A&A Mobile Car Wash. We come to you. So I knew what time it was. I was just washing cars. So I came out with those cards. Crazy thing about it is, this right here says A&A Lawn Service. You see it down there? It says, this way. It says A&A Lawn Service. This says A&A Mobile Car Wash. This is in the beginning. So this is not something that I sat down and planned it up, and this is what it is today. It morphed into this. As time went on, I started getting smarter and updating it. Just kept updating it. So then I said, you know what? Instead of making, I went to order some more flyers, and I was like, instead of doing 2 flyers, let me do 2 in 1. So what I did was I came up with the same flyer in the front, but then on the back I did this. And I made these flyers on there, and then, right, I made these flyers. So when they get it, they just flip it over. But then again, you got A&A Mobile Car Wash on one side and A&A Lawn Service. And this was me just trying to get something done. Came up with a quick idea and I moved on it, which it wasn't all bad and it wasn't all good either. Because I could have thought this out. I could have spent more time thinking this through. And I would have saved me some money and saved a lot of confusion. But that's how it was. So I would just go to mailboxes, man. Like go in the neighborhood. The first neighborhood I started off with was mine. And you know that little flag on the mailbox, I would stick it right in that flag. And I would go up and down the street, boom, boom, boom. Sometimes me and Ashton would do. Ashton was maybe like 5 years old, 6. It's a baby, and he would be out. He would walk one side, I'll walk the other side, and we'll just put them on, and we'll go to different neighborhoods. And so the thing about it is, I remember doing all this, not having a single client, not having made a single dollar, haven't got anything done. And I remember having these flyers, and did I have a business account? I may not have had a business account at the time. I'm not sure. No insurance, just a truck and some equipment and some business cards. That's all I had. And so to me, the business wasn't real yet. I actually, when I passed out some flyers, I didn't get any calls. To be honest, to keep it real, I gave up. Like I just was like, I had money saved up, and then I was just like, you know what? I'll just get another job in law enforcement. I'll go back, go back to the job, So, but I was just like, I'm gonna give me some time to think about it, because I had a nice nest egg saved up. So I just sat back and chilled out a little bit. So then I received a phone call. Lady's like, hey, I got your flyer in the mail. I want to know if you could come out and give me an estimate. I want you to do this, and that. I go out there, I give an estimate, and I get the job. I'm excited. I get the job, I go do the job, and I make my first dollar. The thing is that it's kind of like for you guys that's on that make YouTube videos. When you put your first video out, and you get your first subscriber, or you get your first positive comment, it's real now. You see what I'm saying? Like when I got my check, she wrote me a check. I got the check, I didn't even have a business account, so it was in my name. And I'm like, I just made my first dollar, man. And I was just, it's real now. It's real. And when that happened, you know how I am. You know what? I want to do it again. So guess what I did? I went and I had a stack of flyers looking like this. I get like 4 stacks. Of these. And I just put them in mailboxes. Now, to think about it again, I didn't know nothing about Google AdSense. I didn't know anything about the SEO that Randy, preaches to us about, man, that works. I'll talk about that too. But I never, I didn't have any of that stuff. All I did was, this is what it was. Boom, 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 boom. Just put it out, and then just telling people that I knew, word of mouth. And I started getting, calls like for every, I'll say it like this, for every 100 flyers I pass out, I might get 1 or 2 people call me. So it started to grow, and And then I started to real, as years went by, I started, I went and got my, I went and got an LLC. I also made it, got my EIN number, and that was the second year. Got my business account. Then I got me a Square card reader, and I started feeling more real because now it's real. I started taking it seriously, started taking it as a business. The first year, I only made like 8,000. That's it. But it just shot up after that. It doubled, and after it doubled, it just kept tripling and tripling. It just kept growing. It just spread like wildfire. And so as I got more mature as far as business, I started making better decisions and I started making better decisions and make it, make everything more simple. And then I came out with these flyers. I came out with these. And so now it's A&A Professional Services. And I changed the name, I think 2017 is when I changed the name to A&A Professional Services. Yeah, 2017. And it went from A&A, first it was A&A Lawn Care. And then I had the idea of having two separate business. Then I changed it to A&A Lawn and Mobile Car Wash, and then A&A Professional Services. So now when you get the card, if you flip it on the back, if you just want to get more literature, that's what's on the front. But on the front, right here, it has all the services I provide, the prices. And one thing I noticed, my prices are probably $20. Starts at $20 or more now. That when you just add $20 more to those prices, that full detail is at $160. I think this was at $185 now. That one is at $65. And I don't even have I didn't even put the maintenance wash on there, but the maintenance wash is at 45. Is it at 45 now? It's either at 45 or 50. I had to go back and look because I just raised the price. But you can see that I put starts at. So these cards are still good because it says starts at. And then on the back it just have more information of what's on the front, just details what's on the front. And I learned as I went. I picked up things along the way, and then I started to realize. Then that's when I started doing social media. I started doing Facebook, Instagram, and started doing all that. And I started saying, like, I'm walking door to door with these cards. Now, don't get me wrong. I keep a stack of them in my truck because sometimes I'll be in the area and I'll be like, man, I didn't even know that neighborhood was over there, and I'm finna hit them. I still do it. But I'm gonna tell you, don't let nobody tell you that these don't work, and you definitely don't let nobody tell you that the internet doesn't work. Don't let anybody tell you that the internet doesn't work. And if somebody's on social media telling you that social media doesn't work, that don't make no sense. The only way they can get that message to you is social media, and it's kind of like an oxymoron. It doesn't make sense. But I pay maybe $100 for 1,000 of these, or maybe just a little less, maybe 100 for 1,000 of these, and with the click of a button, with the click of a button, I can get a video, a 1 minute video, 2 minute video of what I can do. And spend $5 or $10, and it'll reach 1,000 people. You get what I'm saying? It's cheaper. It's less footwork. Now, I would actually go into buildings. Like I would actually go in. This is in beginning stages. I was actually go into hair salons, banks, and all this, and talk to people. I would try to make it like I'm there for some reason. I didn't like to just walk in like off the street, but I did that too. But most of the time, if it was a bank that I bank with, I would go in there and make a deposit. And they got different branches, so I would. Let's say if I got 5 checks, I would go to 5 different banks and deposit 5 different checks just to hand them my card to kind of make it seem like I'm not soliciting. Some people don't like that. You walk up to them, you trying to sell them something. They don't like that. You're knocking on their door. I did it. Don't give me. Now I didn't knock on their house. I didn't do that. Now, but people don't like that. Just be honest. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but when somebody come to your door and knock on the door and try to tell you something, or knock on your door and try to give you something, you don't want it. You don't want to be bothered. Even if it's something that you want, unless it's something that you really, really, really want, you might be interested. But if it's, most of the time, they trying to sell you insurance, they trying to sell you an alarm system, or whatever it may be, you don't want it. To be honest, you don't want to be bothered, and other people don't want to be bothered too. Even if it's something that they need, they don't want to be bothered. So the thing is that what I love about what I've learned over time is, which I didn't know at the time what it was, is SEO. That's what it is. It's SEO. It's being able to be found. You in search for customers, but make yourself visible for the customers to be in search, that they can be able to find you. You see what I'm saying? Because walking up to somebody and say, hey, my name is this is what you do, blah, 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 that cold approach, it works sometimes. That face-to-face communication, it works sometimes. But we live in an era that people don't really want to talk to you unless it's important to talk to you. They rather send you a text message. How many people that won't call you, but they'll text you? Y'all never call, y'all never talk on the phone. Y'all text each other everything. Most people like that. Most people want to look for you. They don't want to be bothered. We're living in a different time now. Things are changing, so you have to change with it. You have to go with what the masses are doing. Now, do I still pass these out? You damn right I still pass these out. But I go a whole year and not pass out one card. I got some business cards, but I don't want to get up and go get them. But I got some business cards that look very similar, that look just like this. And I have them in my truck, and when somebody pulls up and inquire about my services, I give them a card. But I haven't passed out one of these. I probably did early, the beginning of the year. I probably did, but I remember years go by, a year go by, and I wouldn't even pass not even one out. So that stuff really works. And then another thing that started to kick in is the Google My Business. I remember talking to Sporty's on the phone. Sporty was the first person that mentioned it to me, and when he said to me about Google My Business, I had actually started the profile. I actually started to do it, but I don't know for what reason. I was like, I'll come back to it later, and I never finished it. And so I was like, yeah, I think I'm on that. And what ended up? Oh, I know what. I did finish it. They sent me the code. I got the code and never punched the code in. And then, the code expires after so long. So I end up having to get another one. So I did that. Didn't understand what it was going to do. But after conversations with Randy, after doing my own research, after conversations with Sporties, keep doing more research, I started to realize, oh, that's what this is. Okay. And I immediately got it. So some of you guys, man, you can do this. You can do this, but you can save yourself some money and don't worry about these. You can probably buy you maybe 100 of them or 200 of them just to have on you. But man, I'm telling you, social media is the way, because I've gotten, I actually picked up, I just got a contract the last week of December. If you guys follow me on Instagram, I'm doing trucks, the inside of trucks, just like Sporties is doing. And it's crazy how it happened. I was on the phone with him, and I get a phone call. I'm on the phone with Sporties. We talking about something, arguing about something, I don't know, and or laughing about something. And I get a phone call, and the guy was like, "Yeah, man." He was like, "I'm looking for somebody to clean some trucks." And I was like, "What kind of trucks?" I'm talking to him. He was like, "Just the interiors." And he was just telling me about it. I was like, yeah, I can do that. And the reason why I'm saying, like, if he would have asked me to do it maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, I probably would have turned it down because I probably would have felt like I didn't know what I was doing or how to do it or what it could consist of. But I can't remember. I can't tell you how many times Sporties would talk about them trucks. Oh man, I'm cleaning these trucks. Man, I'm doing these trucks. Every week he would say that. And he would tell me how he was doing it, and I would see videos that he would have, and I was like, oh, I can do that. So when the guy called me, I immediately knew what he was talking about. So then this is what I did. I'm gonna tell you guys. This is what I challenge you guys to do. If somebody calls you that you have no clue how they got your information, ask them, how you find out about me? That's what I do. I asked that guy, how'd you find out about me? He said, oh, I just Googled mobile detailers in that area, and you popped up. He said you was the first one to pop up. I called you, you answered. I was like, wow, and I'm gonna tell you another thing. When people call you to give an estimate, have you a starting price? Have you something that you can give them that they can have a feel of what it's gonna be? Tell them it's a starting price, but you have to look at it. If you can't get to them immediately, and that day I was doing nothing. It was the weather was bad. It wasn't bad. I think it was just cold or something. I didn't have anything going on, and I was just chilling. Like I said, I was talking to Sporties. So then I get back on the phone with Sporties, and I'm like, dude, immediately, boom, I start asking questions, pricing, like what prices you charge, this, that. And then I asked some other people and kind of got a ballpark figure of what the industry is for cleaning interiors of trucks, and I came up with my price, and I told the guy, look, the place is like 15 minutes from me. I told the guy, listen, I'm gonna call you right back. Give me your cell phone number. He gave me cell phone. I said, listen, I'm finna go out there right now. He was like, yeah, it's a lady named such and such out there. I'll tell you on your way. I went out there, looked in the trucks, came back out, told him, I gave him the start price of what it would be if it's just normal wear and tear, normal, maintenance, to the worst case scenario. I gave him that price. That man said, we can do business. And from the day he called me to now, I've done like 3 trucks. I've done like 3 trucks already. If you guys watch my stories, you've seen it. But here's the thing. The day that I was there, the first time I went out there and did the truck, I told them what time I was going to be there. I was there 15 minutes early. I got started on the truck. The secretary there, I think she's a dispatcher, she was there, and she told me, she was like, yeah, when I got done, when she was cutting me a check, she was telling me, she was like, the guys that used to do the trucks had showed up while you was doing that truck, and they asked us, why did y'all cancel us? And come to find out, they wasn't showing up, they wasn't being reliable and everything. So he got on there, and first thing that popped up, he called it, And so I'm pretty sure my reviews and me having a website and me having all the other stuff probably set me apart from other people, because when I look down the list of people on their Google, some of them don't have websites. If they do have a website, they have the Google website, which is cool. They don't have a lot of reviews. It just certain things that probably make you, set you apart from them. But I was way down on the list, and as time went on, I've moved in the last 8 months. I've moved up on the list. I'm pretty sure if I would have did Randy's boot camp, I would have shot up quicker. But you know, I finagled it, figured it out myself, just by doing my own research. But trust and believe. I will pay for some stuff like that. I will pay for somebody to do it for me. I'll do that. Just like I paid I didn't pay G-Works. He did it on it, but I will pay for somebody that G-Works did it out of the kindness of his heart. I was willing to pay somebody to do that for him. But anyway, I got to send G-Works some bread anyway, because I had promised him some bread. I need to send him some bread anyway, just for doing that. But if you guys don't know how to do it, you don't have time to do it, trust me, it's money well spent. I want to say I've made a significant amount of money from people looking at my Google, from people Googling me. So the stuff works, man. Earlier last month, I think I told y'all that a lady found me on Google. No, she was recommended. I was recommended to her on Nextdoor. When she looked me up, she saw my Google page. Then she saw my website. She saw my reviews. She was like, "Yeah, I was recommended like 3 or 4 people. You was the only one that had all those reviews. You was the only one with a website. Another guy was recommended to me on Nextdoor, and so after all that happened, I went and updated my page on Nextdoor, my profile on Nextdoor. So the guy said the same thing. He said, "Man, you had a website and everything, man." So I went with you. I was like, "Wow, that's cool, man." And so trust me, that stuff works, man. You start to see small results quick. You'll get a phone call here and there, and then it'll be a phone call here and there to a phone call every now and then a phone call once a week, then a phone call twice a week, a phone call almost every day. And then you ask them, "How'd you find out about me?" They say, "I Googled it." I'm telling you guys. So that's what's been happening for me, that I'm making myself visible. And it's still the same thing. Be seen. It's still the same thing. The only thing is it's not necessarily being physically seen, it's also being virtually seen via internet. Being seen there, because that's where the eyes are. You got people consistently, man. Everywhere I go, this is all I see. This is all I see. Everywhere I go, you see people just doing this. That's all you see. Doing that all day long. Me, I be doing that shit sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's eyes are on there. And you're gonna see something you like when you're on there, and you're gonna see something you like when you're on there, and you're gonna wanna, or that's the first thing you do when you want to look something up. You go directly to Google or whatever search engine you use these days. You go directly there. So that's what I'm saying, man. But that's it with that, man. That's something I want to share with you guys. Also, I want to talk about let me give y'all a story before I go, and I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna try to just give y'all these little funny stories. It might be police related, it might be military related, or it might be lawn care, or because weird stuff always happens to me. But so it's a police story. It's a funny one. All right, so here's what happens. Now, I want to start out by saying that police officers are humans, just like everybody else. We like to party, we like to drink, we like to have a good time, just like a regular person. And this one officer, he had a girlfriend that lived out of state. I think she lived somewhere in, I don't remember. It was probably somewhere like Minnesota or somewhere like that. It was a good distance away. And he didn't get to see her often. And so she came down to visit him. And I remember him telling me about it. He was excited about it. Man, he really loved this girl. So she came down and but she kind of popped. She kind of came up like you need a certain amount of time to put in to get your time off. I forgot the amount of time, but I think she had got some free tickets or some air miles from somebody, and she decided to use them there, and she just hopped up and just went. And so he didn't have enough time to get a day off. So what he would do was he would bring her to work with him and sign her in as a ride along, and she'll ride with him. And so she'll ride with them, and then I guess when they get off, they go and do their thing or whatever. So I guess that particular, I think it was like her last day there. She was, in a couple of hours, she's going to catch a flight. She's going to drop off at the airport. And I guess they got hot and bothered. And this idiot decides to take the patrol car off in the cut and smash her in the back of the car, in the back of the patrol car. So if you're a police officer, you know, you guys know that if you get in that back seat and you lock them doors, if you ain't let them windows down, you ain't getting out. And some of the windows had the little plastic thing on there where you couldn't reach out. So if you back there, you back there. So he gets back there, and I'm like, he gets back there, and so I guess they did what they did and then realized that, oh shit, we stuck back here. So I'm like, wow. He calls me. I think he called because like we're not that close. We're cool. You know what I'm saying? We've been in some situations together. We got respect for each other. We cool, but we not super, super close. So I think he was thinking, who could he trust? Who could he call that would keep this between the two of them and the other person? And so he called around, but I think people were tied up or not answering their phone because our police officers busy. So he called me, and I just so happened not to be tied up at the moment. And he's like, hey, man, I need your help, man. And he said, listen, man, I need you to promise me something. I was like, what? Man, what you about to see, don't tell he was like, don't tell nobody. And I'm like, what's wrong, man? He was like, look, man, stop asking all them questions. I just need you to get over here right now. You know where such and such at? I'm like, yeah, man, get here as soon as you can, man. Put them blue lights and sirens on if you have to. I was like, man, you all right? He was like, man, quit talking. Come on down here. I'm like, all right. So I shoot down there. What happened is he left the partition open, so he was able to reach through the window and grab his cell phone that was on the dashboard, but he couldn't squeeze himself, and he couldn't reach over to unlock the door. But he was able to get his cell phone because the cell phone was closer to the partition. So, so I get there, and I'm like, when I get there, I see the car. I don't see nobody. I'm like, what's going on? So it took me like a second to realize that they were in the back seat. So when I seen the back seat, they butt ball naked. I'm like, so I'm laughing. I'm like, what y'all doing? So you know me, I'm a jokester. So I drug it out, and he's cussing me out mad. This man wants to fight me and everything. And I was like, man, you ain't got to worry about it. I ain't going to tell nobody. But I let him out, and man, that joker, man, he was so thankful, man. He was so thankful. He wanted to fight me, though, but he was thankful at the same time. We laugh about it now. And when I see him out and about, man, we laugh about that situation now, man. But listen, I got a lot of stories and a lot of crazy stuff that happened when I was on the police department, man, that y'all wouldn't believe that'll have you dying laughing. And I don't miss the work. I just miss some of the people that I was with, the people that I worked with, you know, because we was a brotherhood. A lot of those guys are not there no more. Some of them Some of them moved on to other things. Some of them are chiefs now. Because I've been gone. I was there 10 years, and I've been gone almost 8. I've been gone almost 8 years now. So if I was still there, I'd have been in there 18 years. So make it. You good, ain't it? Yeah. Okay. I'm live. Just let you know. But yeah, man, that's what happened, man. So, but I don't regret anything that I've done. It made me who I am today. The mental fortitude that I have, just the being able to get out there. Y'all seen me, man. Y'all seen that video. If y'all want to go see it, it's just type in 11 lawns in one day, and just type A&A in there, and it'll pop up. I did 11 yards in one day, like just the toughness, just because going through all that with the informants and being investigated and not knowing what's gonna happen day to day, to kicking indoors, to seeing death, to just seeing death staring death right in the face, being shot at, shooting at people, shooting people, to just, what's the biggest thing I got to worry about now? Arguing with somebody about a price. Like, this stuff don't scare me. All the hate, all the little stuff, all the stuff that you see going on, that stuff don't bother me, because I've been through stuff way worse than that, and it's made me stronger. You know, like, if somebody want to rattle me, they got to do something. They got to do something that's worth my time. You know, but that everything that I went through, the military, all the training, all the stuff that I went through, not so much as the training of being physical, it's just so much of the what you had to have up here to get through all of that. You know, this is a walk in the park. You know, the worst case scenario I got to worry about is if it rained for a whole week like it's doing now. If it rains for a whole week, that's the worst case scenario right now. I mean, and I have a plan for that. That stuff like that don't even bother me. I remember when I first started, it felt kind of awkward to go up to people and say, hey, you know, my name's Anthony, I do this, and I could do your yard, I could do your car and all that. It was kind of awkward, but I had to tell myself one day, why am I tripping, man? I used to kick in doors. When I knew people had guns on the other side, kick in doors and we still go in. You know, they'll be shooting over there, and everybody's running this way, and we're running that way. We run into the gunshots. So this business thing, all that comes with it, the YouTube stuff, all that stuff that comes with it, I'm not scared of that. Like, you know, I felt awkward talking in front of the camera, but man, come on, man, this is easy for me, because I'm not saying that I'm perfect at it, that I do it well, but I'm just saying that I'm not scared to do it, because I've been through worse. What's the worst that can happen? If the video sucks, I just delete it. You know, if it sucks that bad, it's no big deal. You didn't have a delete button out there in the streets. Out there, you know, when I was policing, you didn't have a delete button. You know what? It went down. But that's all I got for you guys, man. I appreciate you guys stopping by, man. Let me go through the chat, man, and see what y'all talking about, man. Callis Auto Detailing from Oakland, Maryland. Okay. Clifton Miller, America's Team Auto Detailing. Okay. New Ride Auto Detailing. Rounders, I see you. See some familiar faces, see some new faces on here. William Adams, want to know all I can about detailing. All right, William Adams. First thing you need to do is go over to our Facebook group. If you have any questions, those guys over there, some guys over there with some experiences there, they can get you some questions answered. It's the New Wave Auto Detailing Group. When you search it on Facebook, you're gonna see a red Range Rover in the front. I see. Right, and you can watch some videos, Eric Jones, Sporties, me, G-Works. It's a lot of people out there making some good videos, and you can pick up a few tips here and there, but you're not gonna learn everything from watching videos. I'm gonna tell you that right now, William Adams. First thing you need to do is get started, start doing something, and get some hands-on. Get you some hands-on. Okay, you was an officer in New Orleans? Okay. Doing Katrina. Oh man, okay. I bet you that was something, man. Larry's Mobile Detailing. In the Corps, okay. Marines, okay. Larry using the Marines, I see you. Danny Guzman, what's going on, big dog? What's going on, DeJuan Johnson? Frank Evans, what's up, man? Davis Auto Detailing. Water Smart, what's going on, big dog? Jay Jack, I see you. Alright, I see you, man. I appreciate you guys for stopping by, man. Appreciate you. All you new guys that's on here, y'all just go over there to the New Wave. Go to Facebook, type in New Wave Detailing Group. Randy Cottingane is he was in the chat. I don't know if he's still here, but Randy Cottingane, he's the administrator over there. That channel is growing. The last time I looked at it, it grew a little bit more. It's now at maybe 80 members. I remember just a few weeks ago it was at 50. Maybe about 3-4 weeks ago it was at 50 or 60. Now it's at 80. So it's slowly but surely growing. What's going on, Just Fits? I appreciate you, man. I'm glad that you love my videos, man, because I really put a lot into them, man. I appreciate you, man. Nothing like working for yourself. You're right, man. All right, but I'm gonna chop it up with you guys in the chat, man. I'm about to get off of here now. I'm gonna chop it up with you guys in the chat for a little bit. Alright, y'all. These videos motivate me each time. A&A all the way. I see you, man. I appreciate y'all, you guys, man. Y'all just keep, we're in a new year. I don't have no New Year's resolutions and all that type of stuff. I don't do that. I got certain goals. That music is not too loud. Let me know if that music is too loud. Yes, New Wave, Just Fits, New Wave. It's I think it's hashtag New Wave Detailing Group. Right, but yeah, pretty much, man. This year, I'm just gonna keep pushing forward and just keep bettering myself. I don't do the New Year's resolution thing. I do set new goals every year, but it's not because it's the New Year's. It's something that I do all the time. But man, if you guys, that's just me. But if you guys set some New Year's resolutions, is that what you got to do? Do your thing, man. I hope you guys accomplish all the resolutions you set for yourself, accomplish all the goals. Just keep moving forward. Don't get distracted. Your life is tailor-made for you. Your life is tailor-made for you. It's nobody's life but yours. It's tailor-made for you. Don't worry about what the next man is doing. Don't compare yourself to the next man. If you want it, I know some of you guys get on here because you like to make you want to make YouTube videos as well. That's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to make YouTube videos, if you want to edit videos and make great videos, own it. Own it. If that's what you want to do, own it and start doing it. Don't be fake with yourself. You're not gonna fool nobody around you. You're not gonna fool nobody around you. The only person you're gonna fool is yourself. So, whatever it is that you want to do, just keep moving forward. You might put out a video and it might suck. Don't worry about it. Just look at it. Why does it suck? Okay, don't do that shit no more. Whatever makes your video suck, you feel make your video suck, change it. Don't do it no more. You understand what I'm saying? So anything else, anything that you don't like what you're doing, if you feel like, I remember somebody saying they don't feel they are where they should be. And I'm thinking to myself, where should you be? I don't think I'm where I should be. I don't remember who it was. I think I saw it in a New Wave. Somebody said that under one of my posts. Not talking bad about you. I just want to give you a perspective. I think it was, I can't remember who it was. But they said, I don't feel like I'm where I should be. I used to say that. But you have to think of it this way. You have to think of it this way. You are where you're exactly where you should be, because whatever work you put in, that's what you're going to get out of it. So if you feel like you're not where you're supposed to be, that means you didn't put the work in. And I'm just being real. I'm not trying to be mean to anybody. Just give you a perspective on how to look at it. So if you put the work in and you where you're supposed to be, you're probably comparing yourself to somebody, because is it where you want to be, or is it where you should be? Because you are where you should be. You are where you should be. If you put in part-time work, you're going to get part-time results. You see what I'm saying? And that's where you should be, because that's the work that you put in. Now, where you want to be and where you should be is two different things. So that's just something I wanted to say, man. But I'm finna get out of here, man. I'm not going to keep ranting on and going on. But, man, appreciate you guys for stopping by. Like I said, if you're not a member of the New Wave Facebook group, go over there. I think it's hashtag New Wave Detailing Group. It's on Facebook. When you type it in, it's going to be a red Range Rover on the front, on the profile pic. All right. I'll catch you guys later. I'm going to go back in the chat, chop it up with you guys for a few minutes. And if y'all got any questions or anything you want to, real quick, I'll answer. I'll do what I can. All right. You know what?
That's my best friend. That's my best friend.
Hey now, it's Anthony with A&A Professional Services. Thanks for stopping by. If you want to see more videos, please subscribe to the channel. Also tap the bell to get notified about all new videos and live chats. Also follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And don't forget to check out the stories. This way you can keep up with us on the daily. Thanks for the support.